Okay. In my ward, in my previous...
It's called the board of checks.
I had a lady who was there. She never once said anything. I check your hindsight, and people said I hated her. And when a woman calls out another sister, they call it hate. Women hate women. Yeah, women don't support women.
I've heard that
also,
a
for
lot,
me, equality means I need to hold a woman to the same standard as a man. If a man is representing me, I need to say to him, my guy, as a woman, I don't feel safe. As a woman, I don't feel safe. So if I can't then say to a woman, sister girl, I don't feel safe. What must happen? Then we are lying to each other. We need to be honest, and we need to hold each other accountable. I would want you to hold me accountable, because when I say equality, that's what we mean.
I like how you place it, and I think you actually articulated it very well there, because we are I like the fact that you said I must call you out. But now what's been happening, and the reason why I said I don't like that other word that you used, is because
feminism.
Is because you then have a lot of people, I don't know whether it's a miseducation on the subject matter, is that people then tend to think that if I say, Patty, I think Lapa you went wrong A, B, C, D, right, on here, you then tend to translate that as in, and I've had instances like that where people then translate that like, oh, you're saying I did this because I'm a woman. I'm like, no, I'm saying you did wrong this because for the very same service or whatever, I would expect a guy and you because you're in the space. I'm not attacking you because of your gender. I don't know if that's making sense. So you having people who are weaponizing this issue where it then tends to, like we said, rightfully said earlier on, Uguti, with all those polarizing issues and there are people who are getting paid for this. But I like the other issue that I really liked and what you touched upon is when you're talking about tampons and pads, and you talk about like you talk a lot and you're an advocate for maternal health. Please just like tell me more about that, about where you guys go for the washing of the skeletons and everything, and you know, is there a car wash or
car wash? Listen, it's executive car wash for that matter. But you know what happens is we need to call each other out if we're going to grow. Unfortunately, what we have done over time is we just want people to clap for us. But we don't grow if people are just saying, yay, yay. Where you grow, and I think in growth, the people that make you better are people that will criticize you, because that forces you to grow. If you blah, 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 because you fix yourself and you tweak yourself and you do things accordingly, right? So when someone calls you out, don't think it's personal. They're not attacking you, a person. It's the idea that is wrong. So many people, because they don't know, and also if you're placed in a position, you have no answer. If I am placed in a position, I can't get better than the person that placed me. So I'm constantly just sitting there. Because the moment I want to call, I can't call out that person if they're wrong, because they put me there, right? So what happens is we need to have women, not equator system. I also have my issues with the equator system. I love the idea of equator system when it started, but where we are going, it was supposed to be an entry point, but we can't constantly be in an entry point. Once you are in equator system, what are you doing when you're inside? We can't then repeat. 5 years ago, quota system. Quota system. You had 5 years to prove yourself. Why are you not then now saying this is the proof that quota system, this is what I've done. And if you can see that I've been good and I've done my work, now you're voting for me on merit. And I am good enough to go against whoever comes for me because I have put in the work. That's how we get to not just equality, because we will get to equality, yes, but then kufanele sizifike stage so kulingana, right? Yes, we've come from maybe behind a little bit, but we need to get to a point lathi esizesithi sesilingana. But if we're constantly saying no, siyangenisa, so grade 1 phela uthi sesihlala siku ECD. When are we going to get to grade 7? Sipalama exam ka grade 7. When are we going to get to ZJC? When are we going to get to Form 4? So I think we need to have people that sit in that august house, and the new fancy one that they're getting now, they need to show us why are they sitting there. I need someone to say to me, you know what, women, majority, mothers of the what, great what, the heart of the nation, Why are we struggling to get tampons, guys?
Yeah.
One. Two, why are we struggling to get water? Because they'll come to us and say recyclable pads, yeah, washable water. Nyawachangani igazi nxa kungela manzi. Like, what am I supposed to do? Right? If I don't have underwear, like I'm telling you, if you are a person who is watching, price a bra. A bra. I don't know if guys buy bras and you know what the price is. But every guy in here is looking down and they're just like...
On birthdays and Valentine's, but continue.
That stuff is expensive, but this is stuff that's needed every day. Underwear is expensive for women. So many women are not able to buy brand new underwear. But and then you want to say, why are people buying amapele? They need to do the things, but they can't afford to do the things at that price. So these are things that we need to talk. Why am I bride? Why am I painted? Right? And also we need to talk about people. I want people in that house as they sit in their whatever, and they're using their fancy gadgets and they are being honorable back and forth and honor to say safety of women in Zimbabwe is going to the dogs. Why? Who is raping us? Who is killing us? Who is hitting us? Why are women now afraid to drive at nighttime? Why are women now avoiding certain places? Why are women just constantly in a state of fear? When someone walks behind you, now you don't know. Is this it? Is this not it? Will it be? Will it not be? We can't drive at night because even during the day now, we can't. So how do I say we are being led and we have people representing us in an august house? We have an honorable upon honorable upon honorable when I am afraid? In a country that is mine, in a country that I say as a citizen of this country, I am so happy, I love it, I love it. Why am I afraid to be a woman? I shouldn't be. I should be protected. I should be able to go to the cops and say I was raped and not asked, what were you wearing? Were you drinking? Why did you go there? That's rubbish. I can't be a woman and be productive in this country when I cannot fully be a citizen. So if I, anyway.
Maternal health, fibroids, what not, and like you're an advocate for that. I want us to go into that, like the causes and some of the diets that people should avoid when we talk of that.
Like I said, the one thing I really hope our government looks into is women's health. Women are, I don't want to say survivors, because survivors means that we can take whatever comes and, we'll make it through.
It's like Zimbabweans are resilient.
Yeah, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. When a woman finally says to you, when they finally say, yazinchali khanda, you know that she's been sick for a long time.
True.
And yes, this is what's going on. It means it's on the stage of it, it's too much. She can't bear it anymore because women can hide and keep moving.
I had a cousin who passed away from breast cancer, I think 2 months ago. And it was like, when she then came and went to the hospital, they're like, yo, where this person been? It was really sad.
So if we had a health system that had women in mind, most of the things that are killing us, we would be so way ahead. For some time, Zimbabwe was leading maternal health, in mother, live birth, what things. But something went wrong. And babies are dying, mothers are dying on the table. Cervical cancer is one of the biggest killers of women in our country. But I will tell you, there are women that have never gone for a swab. Is it a pap smear? Is it Viac? They've never. One, they don't know what it is. Two, where they can go, it's expensive. The free places that have it, the queue is from here to Timbuktu. So then, where are you going to take time in your schedule as a woman to go and sit for 6 hours just to be swabbed? And also, let's not forget culturally how we're raised. Now, when you get there and then talk to Lala Panso Vulinyao, and someone is going into your Jesus place, we need to also address that. But that's where education comes in. We need to have a ministry we need to have a women's ministry that is actively for women. a health ministry that will work with this one and say, we just want to focus on women and children. Mostly. Men, I'm not saying men don't have their problems. They do. They also need to have their own people rally and placard and say, yeah, also men's lives matter.
We've got the men's conference every...
Number one. But you see all fibroids. Cancer. Is it breast cancer? Is it cervical cancer? We have blood diseases or HIV, STIs. These are diseases that should not be killing us in 2023. We should not be recording any deaths about HIV in 2023 because the world has advanced medically in China, but still we are here. Or blood pressure. And how do you say to someone, ungabile BP when they're anxious? Like I am, what am I going to do? So you see, every ministry needs to come to the party. It's not just about one, but all these things add up. Even if I say eat diet, eat this, eat organic. They call it organic. Have you seen how expensive it is? It is so expensive. So how do you say to someone who's barely making it through, eat better? Eat better what? Just to eat in itself is joy. So if you're telling me eat better, it's what? Which is why I'm saying when people speak from a point of privilege and forget that we put them there and we sent them there to represent us. Have you heard them in parliament crying about the diet at the hotels? That at the hotel, the thing is that they give us too much starch, but we want a bit more protein, we want a bit more veg.
Okay. Yeah. I was having a conversation earlier on with one of my friends, and then now with the issues that you're raising, and you're talking about very, very serious, important issues about women. Do you feel that, because there's, from what she was saying and what she said, I picked bits that have to do with patriarchy and stuff. Do you feel, and then we're having a back and forth with a friend of mine and us, and he said something very crazy, not crazy per se, that got me thinking. Do you feel like women are the biggest custodians of patriarchy?
In some instances, yeah. Because I think in every village, I call it a village because we're all in a village, there are people that use that famous government line, we've always done things this way. And that is one sentence that is going to kill us. We've always done things this way.
And this color Peggy is chill with this Peggy's child. When the phone doesn't Peggy's child,
so remember when I said that young people are the worst for people that have always done this. Because they want to challenge it. So ngapheka isitshwala first, isitshebo sengikhanze ngambayimbayi kuyakwenzani kuzilani. If you walk backwards kuyazila umama kuyawela phakathi kodiwo othi ngokesbo. I want to see if my mother can fit inside the diwo. But someone of a certain age will be like akwenziwa. So what happens with patriarchy? I think, like I said, from as far back as I can remember, women have always been. We've had queens.
Yeah.
I come from a region where it is said the last king was a queen, Ulozke. Yeah. She led an army and she won against white people.
Against blacks too.
And blacks too. But people want to forget who she is. And if you look at the statues that we put up.
What are those? Where are they?
We don't have something to remember Lozke for who she was.
Statues are
right?
A fascinating thing. Yeah.
So we want to forget the role that women play in society. We want to think that women are, according to the gospel, submitting. We are forever submitting. But we forget that women hold everything together. And why everything is because there are women that are silently, they don't do it because they're submissive. They do it because it must be done. And we've been doing it. Look at countries that have been led by women. They make a difference. Look at companies that are led by women. They make an impact because we've been doing it. Even budgets, we've been budgeting. Give a woman a Minister of Finance. Yes, we will stretch that budget and we'll make things happen. Put women in leadership. Let's stop saying, because no. Stop looking at what is between our legs and think about what is between our ears. That is what matters. We are here to do the job so that our village can grow.
Do you think the Bible did a great job when you talk of this women thing? Because you know why?
No.
What I'm saying, because what I'm saying is that, because it's always, one thing, the fascinating thing about the Bible, right?
Yeah.
It's like people want to nitpick it when they want you to be umfazi uqobo and submission.
Proverbs 31.
It's the LGBTQ point and the umfazi, the submission part. Yeah, those ones. It's like people went to theology just to study those two verses. And then when you then say, okay, all these other things that are in this...
It's just part of, it's just make the book bulky.
You know what I mean? So it's... what's your take? Do you think the Bible did a great job?
People that went to theology will not use that. They know the Bible is bigger.
Right.
I think it's 66 books, if I'm not wrong. People like me and you that spend our days fighting on screens with monkey faces and so on, are the ones that only know those particular verses. So what the Bible does, it has something for everyone. It's like an album. We are
yeah.
Right? If you want to fight the LGBTIQ, you'll find something. If you want to fight women taking positions of power, women wearing pants, women wearing lipstick, you will find it. But what many people like to quote, I think it's the Ephesians Bible, women submit to your husbands. And they forget, in the very next verse, it says, and men, love your wives as like Christ loved the church. How did Christ love the church? He died for it. Yeah. Are men willing to die for women? No.
Indota must.
Indota must, exactly. So then you also have Proverbs 31. That is bashed into our heads as women, that a good woman is Proverbs 31. And my argument is always, why is there no Proverbs 32 to tell us what a good man is? This is really a tale about a good woman. We also want a Proverbs 32 to tell the men, ukuthi lawe as a man, indota must.
You know what? I like where we went with this when we talk of the Bible. A thought hit me when you're talking. How come papa about Matebele? How come there are a lot of papas in Mashonaland?
First things first. Matebele has little tolerance for bullshit, if I can say that. Like, isn't this Gonko social media fight it was and what Matebele, guys, we've got serious things. We've got like serious things to manage. It's a difficult. And that terrain is hard knock. Akhona amapostoli. Amapostoli akhona akulanto ese Harare engekho koBulawayo.
Kulawo papa
akhona.
Can you just name drop just a few so that
Kulo Chiza. Kulo Ndumiso.
Chiza, is it like a descendant of Solomon Skuza and all those guys?
No, Skuza and Chiza are different things.
All right.
Kulo Ndumiso, Uchuma, kulo Bani. Who else do I remember? There has to be somebody else. Ubani?
How big are these mega churches?
No, they're huge.
Serious?
No, these are huge. We do have that.
Chiza, if you're listening and watching this, please make sure highlight.
Is that, and his son is also now coming up minister as well. Very well. If you've ever driven from, okay, I can't give the address, but they've got a spaceship. They also have a spaceship house. Like your guys. Labo harvest until labo ngopapa kanti asibabo papa. But jana ngoprophet, bona bangena ngoprophet, abanye bangena ngopapa. That's the difference. Kukhona konke lokhu kukhona, but like I'm saying, but like I'm saying, ukuthi, I think the other thing, there's a lot of believe izinto zamanga.
Like me, I'm an immigrant this side, right?
That's fine, but I'm just Zimbabwe. But the thing is that I think there's so much pressure in Harare, and because many people realize that they can make money out of prosperity preachings.
All right.
people will believe that. It's the same way nyanga sigcwele eHarare. Xa ufuna ixoxo likhafula imali uzalithola eHarare. Like all these things, which is why I'm saying abantu besintwini, we've got pride. One, our men are warriors. I'm not saying anything about Shona men, but I'm just saying Ndebele men are warriors. They go to war and they will fight and they will provide for their families and they take pride. Ukuthi indoda yindoda ngesibaya sayo, indoda yindoda ngabantu ebanakelelayo. You know?
Your DM is about to get flooded because you're really appealing to.
Well, I receive warriors in my DM. I receive. But a man, when we talk about patriarchy, so unfortunately, the toxic part of it is that it's this thing that's stifling and blah, 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 blah. But also when you look at it from a cultural perspective, right? Indoda, where you are a man among men, it was a community thing. Are you taking care of your family? Is your spire growing? Your crow, your cackling, are they cackling?
Bitcoin, but continue.
That right there is a problem. Are your children, like, is everything in order?
Yeah.
Are you a warrior, like I'm saying? Are you a warrior? And that's when you can say, Nyindoda. This indoda of yours, where chacharaking children all over the show, not taking care of your business, you don't own, you don't even have inkomo yomdaga. You can't be a man, which is what is forcing women to then stand up and say, you know what, I will take care of my children. I will put my children through school. I will go out and work. What do you need me to do? You want me to drive a forklift? Do you want me to go and get by equalite? You want me to do what? I will do what needs to be done. You want me to go to the UK and things like that? I will do it to take care of my children. Because there's been this fall in what men are. Men are saying they don't know where they fit in because women are progressing so fast. Perhaps, I don't know. But then men, step up. We want you. We want our warriors. Queens need kings, I think. It's usually the other way, but it's okay. We can deal with you. We can handle you.
I like what you, earlier on you mentioned that, you mentioned your son, right?
Yeah.
And you mentioned the social media thingy, and you mentioned patriarchy, right? And, there's this phenomenon, Andrew Tate. Would you be comfortable with your son adopting the gospel of the great apostle Andrew Tate?
My darling child that I gave birth to and I brought you in, I'll take you out. No, I wouldn't. Do you know what? I think I don't want hate.
What's the problem with his message? I always fail to, that question whenever anyone goes on screen or whatever, and then they are asked, what's the problem with his messaging, right? What's the problem with his message? Why is he such a menace to the world?
I think it's the hate aspect for me. And there's some form of degrading and insulting women that's there. That's where I have an issue. That I won't even... I won't, not with my mouth.
Is there a Bond version of this thing?
No, there's a Zim one that is trying on the social media.
Serious?
Yes. Who is trying?
I'm not on social media. The only time I speak is via the podcast.
No, yeah, I am. There's one in Zim who's really trying. And my thing is that, it's so easy for people to say, women love money, women are gold diggers, women here, women this, here, women are that. And I'm thinking, there's something for everyone. Like I keep saying, life is an album. Pick yours and move forward. Fast forward everything else if it's not for you, right? Yes, I like money. Nobody doesn't like money. Don't you like money? It makes things.
I'm a minimalist.
Yeah, but the minimalist things like equipment.
I got nice taste in things.
Exactly, and you pay for that, right? So if you see a girl and she says, "I like money," don't use that as an insult. Know that she's not for you. Go for the one. Go for Maple. That's fine. But then don't insult a Patience because of what she wants and she's got her taste, right? Maple will do your things. It's perfect. A shame to all the Maples watching you catching strays, but I'm sorry. But don't insult. If something is not for you, that's where the respect comes in. Remember when I was saying, as long as we are disrespectful, we escalate into hate.
True that.
So if something is not for you, respect that it's not for you. and live it.
Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed. Which people we tend to talk at each. It's like, you know, we're having a conversation. You might not have agreed with most of the things I said, and I might not have agreed with some of the things that you said. But at least we had a conversation. So now the problem that I see in the current society that we're living in is that we're having people we're
intolerant.
Who then say we're talking like I've always said this even online. I've said that men and women. The reason why every day from Lipuma, Ndebele and Shona online is because people are talking at each other and they're not trying to talk to each other. They're not trying to understand each other's side of things. And then you'll be like, you know, I always say some of the things and some of the problems that we go through and the misunderstandings, mostly, I think 85% of misunderstandings could have been avoided if people sat down and said, yo, I didn't like how you did this because it affects me like A, B, C, D, and I've been in an A, B, C, D situation. And then the other person will be like, oh, I didn't know that. Now that I know, I'll try to do better. But people always say, they don't give time and they don't give an opportunity for people to talk to each other. It's always like, no, me, I'm right because of this. Me, I'm not trying to be right. I'm trying to have a conversation with you.
But remember when I said everything is a teaching moment. Every opportunity that we have is a teaching moment. It's unfortunate that we have people that listen to respond. They don't listen to hear. So because of their need to constantly be right, they don't allow the information to filter in and say, oh, okay, I had never seen it from this point of view. And maybe after this conversation, I might not have agreed with you entirely, but I come away with a few takeaways like, oh, okay, all right. Oh, I didn't know that. Ooh, but now vele uhlala nje ubhizo ungurambo where you're just like you will never hear anything. And for me, there is nothing as dull as someone who's not trying to learn. We learn each and every day and from everyone that we meet, which is why you should never underestimate anyone and think, oh, I'm fancy than so and so, because each person has something to teach you. And we also have something to learn. As long as we wake up and we make our way in the world, we can teach and we can learn. Never think you're above anything. And when someone is talking, be kind enough to let them finish and then listen and then respond. Also, don't attack a person. True. Attack the idea.
Yeah. Or someone was telling me that it's actually the sign of a brilliant mind to actually entertain an idea and not accept it. And you know, when we're talking on learning, I learned today, Uti, there are queens in this country that don't have a sleigh in front before the queen. and you know, you mentioned something about diaspora, right? Mm-hmm. Would you actually leave the country? You know, like looking at the bins that you're parked outside here, life is treating you all right.
Do you know what? I'm one of those people that have said, they will have to kick me out of this country. But more and more, I find myself, I'm in my 40s, and I find myself, I don't own my own home.
You're in your 40s, you look 21.
Why, thank you very pleased. Well, thank you very pleased. And every now and then I start thinking, did I make the wrong decision of staying? Because I look at my peers and how they've progressed. Did I make the wrong decision of staying in Zim and still staying in the creative world? I find myself thinking, do I go back into corporate work? Since so I do hereby beg to apply. But once you're a creative person, it's hard to be in a corporate setup because corporate setup is
a box. They're pushing a box there.
But how do I start that now? Should I just, say, I tried? And so I'm now personally, right now, this moment, I am thinking, should I go? My son is grown up. I've got nothing else holding me back. Maybe I'll find love out there while I'm there, look for money, find love, everything. I'll also be going on holidays. I can't even afford to go on holiday now. Because we're chasing bills. As soon as you pay one bill, funeral policy, how fair them.
Have you tried Cecil John's Rhodes' grave?
I've tried digging around, like maybe I'll find a nugget or something. Or maybe he will say, I've even tried looking for my fairy godmother. Maybe there is one, or maybe a rich relative that died and left me alone. But it is so hard. When people say, oh, people are running away, I don't think they're running away. I think people are just trying to survive. It is so hard. And I think when we speak from a point of privilege, we call those people sellouts and blah, blah, blah. But these are people that are just trying to make it. And anyway, how is how they're doing it. So you can have your master's, you can have your PhD, but if it's not putting a roof over your head, if it's not putting food on your table, if it's not getting you closer to your dreams, what are you going to do? You need to do the next best thing. If it's care work overseas, go and do that. Support your family. Build your house, own your house. Like I'm saying, I want to own my house. So if someone said, Patience, if you come and work for me for wada and yaga, I'll give you a house. I will do it because that's something I want. Guys.
I understand that.
I'm done to finish with it. Like I'm over it. So it's something I would entertain.
And speaking of migration, do you think it's a situation that's only unique to Zim? Because you talk of other people, you talk of Nigerians all over the world. Nigerians even came to Zimbabwe.
No, those ones that they've.
Do you think it's a uniquely Zim thing, especially this? Because even in Europe, you got people.
Europeans. So the thing I think, unfortunately for Zimbabwe, we catch slack for many horrible things. Look at how South Africans are treating us. Any horrible thing that happens in South Africa is Zimbabwe. But when you then look at Zimbabwe, how big is my teapot country? My teapot country, okay, because I'm being extra, maybe see 17 million, maybe. And this is me counting the rats, the goats.
Statistics?
It was 16 points. Yeah. Something. It was 16.4.
People are not having that much sex.
So, no, we are orderly. Zimbabwe, we're orderly, guys. So, who's 17 million? And then we say, okay, abase diaspora bangai. Why? First, abase Harare bangai, because I feel like Harare is all over Zimbabwe.
2.4, 2 point something, right?
Yeah. Then you count kule Zumba Ramba Fungombo Tawini, Eveli Hlezi Lama Namba Maneng, right? That's already half of Zimbabwe. Then Tinangale, Matebelele, and we are orderly, family planning, 2.5 children, a family, we've got order.
What, you said 2.5 children?
2.5.
Oh, okay.
So what happens is, who's 17 yonale singato right outside the country, and this is us just throwing figures. Let's say maybe 2 million are outside the country. How big is the outside the country? Africa in itself has 54 countries? Kulama Australia, Kulabo Asia, which have
UK,
Kulabo UK,
Malaysia.
Kulabo. So it is spread out. They all didn't go to South Africa. And
True.
Abanye are doing proper stuff.
And actually
doing stuff and contributing where they are.
Yeah, to the GDP. Yeah.
So maybe a certain percent. It's not a big percentage.
Our Malaita.
Yeah.
The Malaita squad.
Wherever they are, those that are, they're not that much. Even a goal where people are shouting and saying, "Bakona basebenza my kitchen." They are contributing. They are not out stealing. They are not out with Chama Bosch. They're actually people that are working.
I actually hate that rhetoric. We are criminals. As if
we're not. And the one thing about why we do like Nigerians, people say in every village, there's always a few colorful ones. Yeah. In every village, there's always. So when people say, "Oh, I'm a Nigerian, I'm a 419," but they're Nigerians. I have Nigerian friends who are sitting,
lawyers, engineers,
and they are very driven.
Yeah.
Good education.
It's the jollof.
Like everything. But it's very nice jollof. I've been to Nigeria. Oh, it's gorgeous. I want to go back. But we need to. It's the media. How they've benefited from painting Zimbabwe is horrible. When you have friends that come to Zim for the first time and they're seeing it for the first time, they are surprised because what the media has fed them is that they'll probably be welcomed by a war veteran chanting something and then would have to carry them off to a safe house through a bumpy road that has been bombshelled, and then like the entire time will be horrible. And then they learned their lights. We did not have our airport lights stolen. In some other African country, their lights were stolen. But it's different.
Yeah, and speaking of the media, and I like what you said about media, right? And the story and the narrative that's been pushed. I was actually thinking to myself the other day, I was like, take the worst Mkuku in...
We don't have that.
In South Africa, and then take the worst place people probably live in Bulawayo, Harare, or in any
believe
city.
in brick and mortar.
Yeah, and then you'll be shocked. Maybe I'm all my kids, but like the structure is proper, and then you then ask yourself, why are we portraying?
But which is what I'm saying, Wuti, is Zimbabwe, we have structure. We were raised within structure. It's the same thing as how we don't have a credit facility. That old man gave us structured cash. If you don't have the cash, you don't get nothing. And it has put us in a where you know, guys, let's go out. If you check your wallet and your wallet saying, no, we're not, guys, but this swiping, we don't have the swiping mentality. We don't know it. So it's cash. So when people see us spending cash, like, how are you? And you're like, how are you not? So it also depends. Do you want to learn from it and say, if I don't have money, I can't spend? Or do you say, how do I rebel and say something else? Right. So we've always had structure. We've always had structure. And now it's just, how do we take the structure that we have going forward? What do we do?
That's my next question. Like, how do we change that perspective of Zimbabwe throughout to the world? How do we change that?
Media. We need to stop giving people the power to tell our story. As Zimbabwe, as Black people, as whoever we represent, we have given people too much power by allowing them to tell our stories. We have people coming into our country to come and tell the world about Zimbabwe. That's not nice. Let me, as Zimbabwean who's living here, oh guys, today it's kicking. Today we're going to go to this place. Let me show you places in real life. In a few years ago, I had the privilege of inviting the then U.S. ambassador, His Excellency, because I should honor him, Ambassador Harry Thomas and his team.
Dirty Harry. Oh, yeah.
No, he's not Dirty Harry. I asked him and I said to him, I hate that they keep showing you what Zimbabwe is. Let me show you my town, which was Bulawayo, because the report had been Bulawayo, blah, blah, blah. And I said, nah, I live in that town. That's my town. Let me show you my town. And he was gracious enough to say, okay. After many security checks, back and forth, my hairs counted, my toes counted, my ancestors raised from the grave and asked about me. Do you know where I took him? I took him to Emakokoba Mkambo. And to do that walk with him from Erengini, if you know Bulawayo, our start was 6th Avenue. We turned St. Patrick's because he's Roman Catholic.
Oh, yeah.
And then we left the cars. Yes. No. We left the cars there because it's Roman Catholic. We started there, the walk. And for that trip, because of how important it was, I asked Dubabu Patisanyati to walk with us and to be telling Harry the information of who we are. Yeah. Right? Because he's also a history buff. So that was us walking. Why go to Imakoko? Uwe Mkambo. And you know what? He came away betting his into, and it was nice. But because I say to him, so his heart will always be with Bulawayo, his heart will always be with Zimbabwe because of that. So if we don't tell our stories and we let other people tell our stories, we can't then be mad when they don't tell it the way that we want. I need to say to people, Zimbabwe is a beautiful country. If I had the resources, honey, I'm not leaving. The weather is great. The food is delicious. The people are, guys, the people are everything. You know, it's one of those places like we've been safe for such a long period of time, which is why I'm upset with why all of a Sandy.
Yeah, and
why all of like as Zimbabwe's Kulimpopo singer once.
Yeah,
and I want to stay that way.
And it's like you know, when you talk about media and like outside media telling our story, we also even have like, you know, one thing I totally don't like, and one thing I like about like this thing that we're building called 11 Dogs and Haku Stream and this platform and the stories that we're trying to tell is that we put out a video. It's there on YouTube. You guys should check it out about the Bay Bridge border post. And then the comments, they were like, oh, this is lovely. We never thought that Zimbabwe was like this. And then there's someone who just came with
this. There's always one.
Yeah, so we always have... So we also have this Zim media that's telling this negative story about Zimbabwe. I was saying everything is perfect. No, it's not perfect.
It's not.
But if you stay in Zimbabwe and you are telling 95% of your stories about Zimbabwe are nonsense, then like we can't be talking accountability and whatever every day. I'm sure there are butterflies and the sky is blue and you're part of the world. Tell us about that. I don't know what's your take on media houses, that thing. And also it's now, so we business model. Do you know there are people who actually, whose their whole business model is dependent on Zimbabwe not being a good country?
Like I said to you, in every situation, album, there are people that have decided if we hate on Zimbabwe, we get paid. And there are people that are willing to pay for people to hate their country, right? And so, paycheck. That too. So those are people that end up getting us into a patriotic built in, you know? But then it also is about your lens. How are you looking at the country? Are your windows clean? Right. Are they not clean? Every time you look outside, you always see right? Choose to celebrate stuff. There's beautiful stuff. We drove out to Chinhoyi at the weekend. I've never been to Chinhoyi, like inside Chinhoyi, just going past and blah, 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 blah. But we went with a friend of mine said, let's go. Do you know, I took a beautiful picture, and we stood there for a while. It's dry because it's a dry season. But you know, when you can see so far and you see Zabantu, then a mountain at the end, we took a picture and we said, you know what? When I was growing up, there was something called a postcard. Yeah. I know there's a generation that like, a what? So they don't think it's an Instagram. Yeah. But we took it, and I thought when I was growing up at Jairos Jiruwo, these were the postcards that we're buying. These were the pictures that we were buying. And this is such, and when I showed it to a friend of mine, he's like, where is that? I said in Zim, it's like, you're lying. I'm like, but that's the thing, that when I then tell you, we've got mentions, we've got, it's functional. In all its madness, there's still beautiful things. You choose not to hear it. And the moment I say, but Zimbabwe is beautiful, you say ZANU-PF. But how do I become Zimbabwean and not celebrate my country because I'm afraid of being labeled into a political party that I don't belong to? And does that mean if I'm a CCC person, I can't celebrate the beauty of Zimbabwe? What does that mean? So now there's this confusion. So people are now afraid to celebrate. Like if you correct someone, no, but lapulamanga. Then they say, ulamanga wena umwezan. So urakashwana back and forth. But then, first things first, before I'm CCC, before I'm ZANU-PF, before I'm ZAPU, before I'm Harry Potter.
May I support Linda Masariri? That's my, women empowerment.
Okay. Anyway, so before I'm all those things first, I'm Zimbabwean.
True that.
And I should always speak
of your country,
of my country, and where they're good. Like I say, calling someone to order is where it's good, it's good. Like I said, I'm not happy about certain ministries and how things are done, but that does not mean I do not go forward and say, look, what we did with COVID, we kicked everybody's ass.
True that.
Right? So if I celebrate that, then say out here, patience, what? But that's the truth. So
and even on Mazoe there, we kick people's ass on Mazoe there.
We stay kicking shame. It's fine. But then, so we need to have a balance of where we call out the bullshit, but we should also praise the hard work. Like the new airport, I think it's cute. But someone else will want to say, hey, but watini. But Oxalai, my pipe bridge, border post. Yeah. It's cute. From what it was before, guys, we've come a long way. But so if we don't praise that, if we don't praise it, then everybody else will tell the story. That is not the true story.
What are the five things that you love about Zimbabwe? I know your counting is ZJC.
Zero. Zero. I love the climate. Right. The weather for me is, I'm a sun baby. Like the fact that we have sun almost 363 days of the year. That's amazing. The food.
I remember, I was actually
I discovered the spot recently. Zimbabwean food is nice.
When was the last time you had umchang?
So I have to bring it in from Ndebele land.
When was the last time you had Inopi? No, still.
No, because bafu befungu nika ngethanga and no. Bona bapheka ngethanga. No.
Serious?
Yes. Mashona land benza ithanga Letobi. So wherever, so you'll find that the cuisine is different. If it's Mashonaland.
But Mashonaland, there's no mchanga, right?
No, they don't. Bonabala. So where we have milk, because we are cattle.
Oh yeah,
we have peanut butter. That's how they made up for the protein difference.
What?
Ikomani liyana phela edliwa ngochago. Ijemba.
Oh yeah, you said milk phela.
Inopi.
Oh okay.
Inopi idliwa ngochago.
Okay.
Githi esindebeleni.
Okay.
Esishoneni ledobi iphekwa ngethanga.
All right. I hear you.
For anyone who doesn't I feel sorry if someone is subtitling this. Hey, it's going to be a difficult.
No. We don't.
Right.
We don't try.
So my 5 things: the climate, the food, the culture, the diversity of the culture, and that goes to the people, the creative yaga yaga.
The men, right? I know.
The holiday spots, the places to see, it had nothing to do with the men. People celebrate a lot, Vic Falls, but you know, there's so many other places. Yeah. Zimbabwe, it's one of those, there are friends that say, you can tour Zimbabwe in 10 days, whatever. It's something I want to do, actually. Get into a truck with friends and we do Zimbabwe, like around Zimbabwe, when I was growing up, only around Zimbabwe. Yeah. Because there's so many hidden little pockets in Zim that if you see that, you think, lapa isikwe Zimbabwe. So when they go on holiday, it's just expensive. So tourism needs to figure that out. People will end up holidaying outside the country than in because it's a bit pricey. But hey, guys.
I don't think it's a pricey thing. I think it's a value for. Do you think it's a value for money?
It's the price. US dollar is cheaper, my guy. US dollar is expensive. So for me to pay 3, no, but then if you find a place also at 3K per night to sleep.
Nah, I think one of the most expensive that I know is...
You're a minimalist. No, you're a minimalist.
I think.
You're a minimalist. It's okay.
Send the money, he said.
So, and then the 5th one is their safety part. Like, okay, without the safety part, unlike most African countries, there's still some level of safety in Zim. I really hope we get back to where we were. Minister of Home Affairs. I really hope we get back to where we were. But there's that level of freedom, like a small freedom. No one's going to pick me up off the road and kidnap me and yaga me, or a bomb will go off in the middle of the CBD. So that's something that we take for granted because we've never experienced it, which is why, like you saying, if a Thai exhaust goes, poof, everyone is like, but in some countries that is a normal. And then, hey, I want to say the men and the women.
Interesting.
That's a bonus.
Interesting. Yeah, it's been a very... Guys, if you're offended, that was the intention. If you're educated and entertained, that was also the intention. Share it with your friends. And yes, it's been the bold exchange. Peace.